In this video, we're going to be going over practice problems for function notation. And this is our part 5 video inside of Math 20-1. And in our last video, which was our part 4 video, we went over the general concept of function notation. So in this video, we're going to be going over the practice problems for that. So let's get started with our first question. So starting off, at a carnival game, you're asked to pick a number, add 5 to that number, then square the result, and subtract the value from 15. So let's actually just create our function for this first. So for question A, we need to use a function notation to describe this process. So in order to do that, let's see what it looks like. So we're going to do f of x is equal to 15. So since we're saying we're subtracting this value from 15, we're going to have 15 minus, and then we have to pick a number. So for this one, we're going to choose x, and then we're going to have to add 5 to that number. So x plus 5 will be in the bracket, and then it also says square the result. So x plus 5 in the bracket, and then square that result, and then we're going to have to subtract that value from 15. So this is how our function notation would look like. So f of x is equal to 15 minus, inside the bracket, x plus 5 squared. So this is part A of the question to create the function. And for part B, what number will you end up with if you start with minus 1, 2, or 0? So what we're seeing here is that we're going to replace x with all three of these different numbers and see what the result we're going to get. So let's start off with minus 1. So if we replace x here with minus 1, then what will we get? So first of all, minus 1 plus 5, if we add that together and then square that, then that would equal to 16. And 15 minus 16 is equal to minus 1. So when f of x and x is equal to minus 1, then the answer we get is also minus 1. So now if we replace x with 2 instead, so 2 plus 5 is 7, then square that is equal to 49. And if we do 15 minus 49, then we get f of 2 is equal to negative 34. So that's for the second one. And for the final one, if we replace x with 0, so if we have 0 here, so 0 plus 5 is equal to 0, square that, which is 25, and 15 minus 25 is equal to minus 10. So that's where we get this minus 10 from. So this is also the first question for practice of functions. Moving on to our second one, the graph of the function is equal to f of x is equal to half times x minus 1 squared minus 2. And this is what is given. This is the plot on the graph here, as we can see. And then for the question, what input is needed so that f of x is equal to minus 2? So there's two different ways that we can actually solve this problem. One of them is by just looking at the graph, which we're going to do last. And another one is by doing the mathematical way, which is where we replace this f of x with minus 2, and then we just solve from there. So if we look at here, we're going to go with the mathematical way first, and then we'll do the graph method after. So this is what the question was asking us, so we're just rewriting it here. And all we're doing is that we're replacing f of x to minus 2, because we know that we're saying here that f of x is equal to minus 2. So we're going to replace that with minus 2, and then from here all we're going to do is just leave x by itself. So in order to do that, the first step would be to add plus 2 on the other side, so we can get rid of this. So this then is going to be equal to 0 is equal to half times x minus 1 squared. And from here what we can do is we can take out this half and also this squared, so we can divide and then also square root, and then that leaves us with 0 is equal to x minus 1, and then from there all we need to do is add plus 1 on the other side, and that makes x is equal to 1. So this way, when f of x is equal to minus 2, then that means x is going to be equal to 1. So the input x, which is 1, would make y is equal to minus 2. So now if we do the same thing in the graph, on the graph, if we look here, so we're looking for f of x is equal to minus 2. So we can consider f of x as y. So when y is equal to minus 2, what is x? So if we look at the graph here, we go to y is minus 2, which is right here. And what is x? X is equal to 1. So in that way, we can also get the answer like that. So this was our second question for the graph and for the practice for functions. And moving on, now a pizzeria orders dough, and this costs the owner a flat fee of $25 for shipping and then $3.50 per kilogram of dough. So now we need to write a function which is in CD for the total cost of an order of D, which is representing the kilogram of dough. So C represents cost and D is the kilogram for dough. So for the function, what we're going to do is CD is equal to 25 plus 3.5 times D. And the reason why we're doing this is because there's a flat fee of 25. So the constant has to be $25. So we're going to leave that as 25. And then we're going to do plus 3.5D because for every kilogram, it costs 3.5. So 3.5 for every kilogram. So this is the function that we have for this question. And now for the second part, how much does it cost to order 10 kg of dough? So in order to do that, all we have to do is replace D with 10. So if we replace D with 10, basically it's going to be C of 10 is equal to 25 plus 3.5 times 10. So if we simplify this, 3.5 times 10 is equal to 35, plus 25 gives us $60. So in order for 10 kilograms of dough, it's going to cost a total of $60. And furthermore, for the same question, how much does it cost to order 10 kg of dough? So as we just said, we already know. So how can we find this graphically? So on a graph. So we already know that it's $60 in total. So in order to look at it through a graph perspective and find the answer through a graph, all we have to do is look at the kg and then we have to find when it's at 10. So if we look on the x-axis and wait until it's 10, so if we see that 10 is right here, and then if we go up and see where it lands on, we can see that it lands on 60. So for 10 kilograms of dough, it's going to cost $60. So graphically, we can find D is equal to 10 on the horizontal axis, and that's what we did in order to find the solution. So that also summarizes this question as well. And that summarizes everything for the practice of functions. So thank you so much for watching from Try to Be Useful, and we'll see you in our next math video.